Well, Timberwolves All-Star center Karl-Anthony Towns just underwent successful surgery to repair a lateral meniscus tear in his left knee. Towns will be reevaluated in 4 weeks, but is expected to be back in time for the start of Minnesota's Western Conference playoff run. And while the T-Wolves have struggled as of late, losing 4 of their last 7 games, they did hold the conference's #1 seed for the vast majority of this season behind primarily young budding superstar Anthony Edwards and their team defense, which is currently ranked #1 in the NBA in net defensive efficiency. But along for the ride this season is Towns, who is now shockingly all of a sudden in his 9th NBA season.
What?
All of which with the Timberwolves after, of course, they selected him with the first overall pick in the 2015 NBA draft.
The Minnesota Timberwolves select Karl-Anthony Towns.
And Towns has been somewhat of an enigmatic player since his entry into the league, fringing on being designated an outright bust. With Minnesota in 8 full seasons during the Towns era to this point, only able to make it over 500 3 times, while they have lost in the first round of the playoffs in all 3 of those playoff appearances. It wasn't until the emergence of Anthony Edwards and their defense that this team really started to take off into something remotely resembling a contender. And Karl-Anthony Towns presents us with just yet another stunning example of the type of players dominating the box scores in today's alleged super era of NBA basketball. A career loser, routinely bandied about on the trade block, yet look at those stats. Hell, look at those highlights. A 7-foot, 250-pound center ripping threes at a rate of 40% on the year this season while attempting over 4 per game. This was specifically highlighted in that career-high 62-point performance against the Hornets earlier this season, where he shot 10 of 15 from 3. And this guy is just yet another illustrious representative of the type of players being uplifted by lazy-ass TikTokers and ignorant teenagers as a reason as to why this era is the best and most skilled. But Towns actually serves as just yet another perfect example as to the type of hollow, meaningless, and inflated stats being built by fraudulent players in today's busted joke of an era. And there is no better example of this than that career-high 62-point game earlier this very season, where the Timberwolves, who were the #1 seed in the conference at the time, lost to the Hornets, who are currently 17-49 on the year and rocking the 4th worst record in the entire NBA. This game was in Minnesota, by the way, and Towns, despite having 62 points, was benched by head coach Chris Finch during crunch time of the 4th quarter, and then absolutely roasted by Finch in a scathing post-game tirade.
Well, I mean, it was an absolute disgusting performance of defense and immature basketball.
Yeah, this game serves as the perfect microcosm for Towns' entire career and this era as a whole. As Towns is yet to win a damn thing in his entire career, as in, like a single playoff series, and is now playing second fiddle to one of the very few players in this era with that dog-like mentality. Well, at least when he isn't making stupid comments like this one.
For me, it's an all-star game, so I don't think I will ever look at it like being super competitive. It's always fun. Like, it's a break, so I don't think nobody want to come here and compete.
But speaking of that all-star game and Karl-Anthony Towns, he was the leading scorer for either team, dropping a 50 spot off of the bench for the West, who lost by 25 points. Just more cat being cat. But despite all of the losing, again, look at those stats. For his career now, Towns is averaging 22.9 points, 10.9 rebounds, and 3.2 assists per game. And yeah, for reference, here is Tim Duncan's career stat line. Of course, Duncan won 5 NBA championships While we are still waiting on Towns to win that elusive first playoff series, as he has currently won only 4 total playoff games by the age now of 28. But this year could be the year for him to finally get in that win column. Regardless, though, of what happens in the playoffs, at least Towns will always be able to fall back on those empty, worthless stats, just like predominantly all of the other high-profile losers in this middling and overrated era of NBA basketball.